So this is the Theliverkinglie. So this was it.
When I first noticed the Liver King, he had 1% of the following he does now across all platforms, if that. And within a year, he has managed to build a fan base of millions of followers and has been on several of the biggest podcasts in the world, echoing his message to the masses. His message centers around 9 core ancestral tenets, which have remained the cornerstone of his content since day one. Sleep, eat, move, shield, connect, cold, sun, fight, and bond. And apparently there's a 10th one he sometimes likes to throw in there, which is fun. Liver King believes the modern world has made men soft, and it's his duty to empower the masses to become jacked, high testosterone, metabolically and cognitively peak primals with a higher quality of life, and to inspire change and achieve this and be maximum impact. He does it through as viral of content as possible. He walks the walk and shows off the polar extreme of ancestral living, which includes being shirtless essentially in perpetuity, doing hard shit constantly via heavy weight training, and unorthodox, difficult fitness challenges, as well as showing off the ancestrally consistent meat and organs he eats huge quantities of, and this includes heart, raw testicles, liver, etc., and flying around the world to share his beliefs about health and vitality whenever he gets the chance. I saw Liver King's content for the first time in September last year, shortly after he started his social media push. I think his first post was August 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I started getting tagged more and more on his content when people started noticing he was implying heavily that his physique was achieved solely by following the 9 ancestral tenets and was not enhanced with steroids or any exogenous hormones or PEDs.
Have you seen that bloke that eats just the raw?
That's a gimmick, that guy.
It just looks ridiculous. He's got a plate of hearts and it just looks weird.
He's got an ass filled with steroids is what he's got.
Yeah, he should have a big plate of steroids next to it.
That is not a natural body.
Of course it's not.
That guy is shooting all kinds of shit into his system to achieve that kind of physique.
Completely.
Yeah, there's this guy, Derek, who's been on my podcast before. He's got this web YouTube page, moreplatesmoredates.com. That's his website. You know that guy?
Yeah.
And More Plates, More Dates, the YouTube page did a whole takedown of, not a takedown, but an examination of this guy's claims that he's natural and that what he's, is like living off the 9 pillars of health and sustainability or whatever the fuck it is, like liver and testicles and drinking blood. And like, it's a gimmick.
Back then, he was already getting criticism for claiming natural, and since then, he's only managed to get more jacked despite being in his mid-40s and traveling constantly and having more on his plate than ever from a entrepreneurship perspective. In an effort to maintain full transparency, just like he does with his supposed natural status, Liver King has been very candid about the success of his portfolio of supplement companies.
Mine, little birdie, told me that you're making over $100 million a year from your businesses. True or false? True. That's a pretty staggering accomplishment.
Now, understandably, this success draws a greater level of scrutiny to his claims of being natural and his brand as a whole, as there is a clear monetary incentive to promote what he does. And if he's on drugs after all, there is a clear monetary incentive to withhold that information from the public and lie about it to push his agenda. And this scrutiny has compounded exponentially over the past year, as Liver King is not just doubled down on his statements of claiming natural, but he has literally 100-folded down on it on several of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Regardless of whether you use stuff or not,
I don't.
Can they get a build like yours without taking them?
So I want to set the record straight. I want to expand and tell you why it's possible.
A year ago, maybe 2 years ago, it was all about like PEDs and steroids, right? And then, same question, same answer. I didn't touch the stuff, don't touch the stuff, right?
Joe Rogan criticized you. Joe Rogan's a big person in terms of his platform is big. How did that feel when he alluded that you're on steroids or something like that?
Yeah, number one, I don't do it. And number two, what I want you to say is, you know what, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that guy, in fact, he did say he's in the 0.00001% of genetics if he does it naturally.
What is the Liver King's response to this claim that the Liver King is hormonally improved by science?
The question has always been, do you take steroids? Do you take PEDs? The answer to that is no. I've always told the truth. I still tell the truth. This is funny. People write in DMs.
Right.
And they're like, they tell me what I'm taking.
Right.
And then here's something else. I was just joking around. I would like to get your opinion on this. I thought, so again, for the record, I've never taken steroids.
Really?
I'm thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Ancestral Tenant 10 is have a little fucking fun.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? If you've built this biological resilience, I always say, have a little poison. I'll drink, I'll do mushrooms, I'll do shit. Like every Saturday I imbibe. Like, you know what? I'm healthy enough. If I want to do a cycle, I'm going to do a cycle. And how much you want to bet I turn into the Incredible fucking Hulk?
You're going to be terrified.
I want to be like this. Okay, you think this guy's on steroids, right? This is the guy who's on steroids. It's like if somebody has, let's say, 700, testosterone, free testosterone, and if they're taking steroids and they want to get up to 1,400 or 1,500 or whatever it is, guess what? You can do the same thing with the 9 ancestral tenets. And if you do the 9 ancestral tenets and you're living this way over this amount of decades, you're going to be able to produce your highest and most dominant form.
So I think when people see someone with your physique, they look at it and they think there's something going on here. There's gear, there's steroids, there's performance enhancing drugs. Talk to us about, whether you use performance enhancing drugs or steroids or anything to get this physique.
Listen, I love this question. I've been getting this question since high school, and it's done more to lift the Liver King brand and message than any other question. So I hope you asking it now continues to do the same. The short answer is no. I don't touch this stuff. No. But here's the deal. Isn't it just fucked up that a muscular, lean man has to justify his level of fitness, but a fat, lazy, metabolically deranged, or a skinny, fragile, osteopathically deranged, they don't have to justify their lack of fitness.
Oh, Liver King, you're on steroids. You're on PEDs, and so it's like, okay, we had a lot of fun with that, and then we had a doctor come on. We made a video. If you ever Google Liver King's blood work, we had a legitimate doctor come on. We did like a blood work reveal. That was fun. But then the accusations never stopped. So I'm like, okay.
Well, I assumed you were on steroids. I was talking to one of your guys, and I was like, yeah, he's on steroids, right? Like people don't look like that. He was like, no, he's not. And I think I'd heard Rogan say you were on steroids.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Now, obviously, it would not be very ancestrally consistent to be using synthetic, lab-synthesized drugs to achieve the physique you then use to promote the 9 ancestral tenets. It's like the complete opposite of what is aligned with that message, essentially. Now, while nobody who is speculating truly knows the answer, it does not do him any favors to lean in and call those that doubt him subprimal, or to make jokes about those who suspect he's on PEDs on a regular basis.
I'll tell you this, there's a lot of subprimals that are convinced that Liver King is taking steroids.
Steroids, primal or subprimal?
Subprimal.
Wait, why? I'll probably do TRT once my T levels start.
I don't believe you. I think after we get to know each other and you get to know the 9 ancestral tenets and you get to understand, and this stuff is in the literature. If you want evidence-based literature instead of the bro science, Google this and use Google Scholar. You'll find this in the literature. 50 years ago, we had 50% higher testosterone. Today, people take steroids to increase their testosterone by 50%. So why not just do these ancestral tenets?
I mean, I got good T levels currently. I'm just saying.
You say they're good because that's the new normal, and that's the relative difference. But how much you want to bet you could double your testosterone naturally by doing these 9 ancestral tenets?
Well, the reason why people bring up the steroid thing is because it's almost like it's like a discredit.
We hear this all the time that hate always comes from below. And hate always comes from within, right? When people really hate their lives, because most people do, they go to jobs that they hate, they come home to lives they don't love, they sedate themselves with enough bullshit, right? And so they hate themselves so much that they project that hate above them.
Now, he did have a successful and established business prior to blowing up on social media, but it is impossible to ignore his meteoric rise and the financial success he has experienced on the back of that.
Because if I'm going to create $100 million a year in revenue, and I'm doing it by doing good to the human condition versus a company that is selling Coke or type 2 diabetes.
Listen, I'm fully behind that.
So this is why value is not created equally. So I'm glad that hey, you support, hey, let's go make some money if we're doing good in the world, because there should be an exchange of value.
With new Liver King endorsed brands popping up seemingly every few months at this point, new more extravagant luxuries being prominently featured in his content, private jets, etc., and very, very transparent takes on yearly revenue metrics in his companies, there is clear monetary benefit to his social media presence growing in the way it has. However, the scrutiny he experiences grows even greater in parallel as he downplays it and portrays his burst onto the social media scene as like this noble act, only cares about his fellow man and, achieving highest quality of life, health, vitality, etc., and it is not fueled by a financial incentive.
Liver King existed way before a year ago, right? I never wanted to go on social media. I never wanted to do a podcast. I never wanted to be like public Liver King. I loved my life. I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but before Liver King, on social media. I was rich and anonymous. It's a pretty badass life to live. Go anywhere, do anything. No one's going to distract you. Now, if I get on the lake, on the boats are coming up. Hey, Liver King. But in terms of how my other businesses grow, my other businesses grow 50% a year over year. So what kind of impact have I had on these businesses is really marginal.
Where do you invest?
Where I invest is like, we're doing 100 of these companies, and you know why. Because people are hurting and they hate their lives, right? They're suffering and struggling with such depth that they need to hear this message.
Now, there is absolutely truth and positivity behind a lot of the information that Liver King puts out, in my opinion. You know, a lot of the stuff from a nutritional intake perspective, metabolic health perspective, relationship building. You know, a lot of the stuff he talks about is stuff that I definitely believe is valuable, motivational, inspiring, and could improve quality of life, health, vitality, etc. Like, I even eat an ounce of liver per day myself and have for years. However, him portraying the explosion of his polarizing brand as something he, never wanted to do, didn't intend to do for financial reasons at all, is perceived to be deceitful by many.
So here's a Liver King.
You're saying from his?
Yeah, so he's this nice guy. He peddles supplements. He lies. He's probably on the roids. He talks about masculinity when he walks around with his shirt off. That guy is an asshole. And fucking
wait, he's an asshole because
he's just a fraud. He's just a phony. He's a fraud. Like he's a clown. And like we all sit there and like in 2022, the day of social media and TikTok, we're all like, oh, the Liver King. Let's put this asshole up on a pedestal.
So his main message is eating clean, living like the caveman did, right? I don't give a fuck if he's on steroids. I don't give a fuck.
But again, it's just like, it's the gimmick, dude. It's the fucking gimmick. Like, we live in a world with fucking gimmicks. Just be a normal motherfucker.
That's fair.
Put a shirt on.
It seems that the push behind the Liver King brand from inception was a very clearly outlined, premeditated, and shockingly calculated strategy. Fitness charlatans and snake oil salesmen have come under the microscope with greater scrutiny over the past few years. We've seen many examples of this, and while not long ago, many of them essentially got away with murder and promoting absolute nonsense, misleading, disingenuous things, some stuff that is just a straight up ripoff entirely, or even potentially dangerous misinformation. I feel like we've all come a long way in educating ourselves about how to identify misleading marketing, disingenuous individuals, and avoiding them entirely. My friend Zach Tellender, who helped bring this video to life actually too, has exposed a lot of this behavior over the years in the fitness industry on his channel. And before we get into the nitty gritty, it feels fitting to have Zach give a preface about how all of this came to be.
A charlatan is, by definition, a person who makes elaborate, fraudulent, and often voluble claims to skill or knowledge. A fraud. I happen to like bits and pieces from many different definitions of a charlatan. A person who pretends to have expert knowledge or skill that he or she does not actually have, or a malicious trickster, a fake person, especially one who deceives for personal profit. In the fitness industry and social media as a whole, charlatans run amok, and they're making more money and gaining more fame than ever before. But what's important to distinguish here is the separation between valuable influence and being a charlatan. So with regards to the definitions I had listed prior, we have three key components: knowledge, skill, and profit. Knowledge in terms of charlatanism would better be defined by sacred knowledge, meaning knowledge that is unique to the charlatan themselves. This is what no one but the charlatan knows, and he or she is the savior for bringing it to you, the consumer. Now, you may be thinking, I learn things from fitness people, good fitness people, all the time. Are they charlatans? And the simple answer is no, because the bests of the industry tell you things that aren't sacred, new, and amazing. They deliver information with a level of nuance. They usually understand that there are most likely no absolutes. They bring anecdotes or their own personal experience on the matter to you with respect to science. They do all of this while consistently disclaiming that they don't have the answers to exactly what it is you should be doing. They guide you down the sturdy and trusted path while encouraging you to make your own way in this world. The charlatan cannot do this. This is because they are providing you with clear-cut, absolute answers. They don't want to empower you. They want to keep you passive and force you to consume. Now, there is nothing wrong with selling. There is, however, something wrong with using tactics with a distinct in-group and out-group mentality. The charlatan's ideas cannot exist with other ideas present. They must be on the attack of other ideas because they interfere with their delivering of this absolute sacred knowledge. For instance, Joel Seedman cannot concede to large ranges of motion because he's so bought into the 90-degree joint angles with endless claims about their superiority and the inferiority of anything else that he has to be the only correct one. Another example would be the GOTA guys. They cannot concede to possibly saying that typical compound movement training can serve any benefit at all because it directly contradicts their convoluted idea of reverse movement technology, whatever that means. Next, we have skill, and this is what empowers the charlatan and their followers. The skill is the determinable action that solidifies their position against the outgroup. We do this, they do that. We are good, they are bad. What we do is difficult to describe, but with our convoluted vocabulary and our distinctly individual practice, it will change us and solidify our position above the outgroup. Finally, and probably most importantly, we have profit and fame. This is the end goal for the charlatan. Using their sacred knowledge, convoluted language, and unique but transferable skill, they can now convert on those sweet, sweet algo gains. And again, there is nothing wrong with selling. It's just that selling off the backs of the previous listed tactics I'm talking about, that's what I'm really honing in on. Buy my program, book, equipment, or supplement that fits my absolute narrative and be a part of the in-group. I will grow this in-group while I remain the centerpiece. I will revel in the fame and the money. I am the Liver King. Yes, the centerpiece of our video today is no different. He directly and obviously follows the charlatan playbook. He uses his sacred knowledge of the 9 ancestral tenets and his body as the main selling point. He uses terms like primals and subprimals to determine the in-group and out-group. Now, once the charlatan is questioned, it's important that they give way to their absolute statements. So most of the time, they don't give way at all, but when they're pushed by someone who might have a big influence, it's okay if they start to contradict what they're really all about. If they can appeal to the critical audience with what we'll call the undeniable argument fallacy, they can potentially mitigate any fallout from contradicting themselves. The Liver King can fall back on the fact that these 9 ancestral tenets, for the most part, aren't very sexy. Like, yeah, we should sleep more, we should eat better, we should have a lot of better habits, and a lot of which are part of the 9 ancestral tenets. But again, this is nothing new. This is nothing that's going to sell. What he has to hone in on is selling and using the charlatan playbook to do so.
And people are suffering today with depression, with anxiety, with autoimmune conditions, with infertility, right? They got low energy, they got low libidos, they got low ambition in life. What I'm proposing, my thesis is that there's a simple, elegant solution to living a goddamn kick-ass fucking life. Right? So this is my job as a CEO of the Ancestral Lifestyle, to model, teach, and preach this message so that our people don't have to suffer, so that we can return to our highest and our most dominant form. So you say, what if you don't want to be like that? Well, 80% of people's lives fucking suck already.
So in this way, he appears to be the hero we all need. But if these are not very sexy ideas, then what will fuel the growth of his brand? Well, specifically for him, and following the charlatan playbook, eating a ridiculous amount of raw organs and flaunting his body that he staunchly defends as natural or only enhanced by his lifestyle and not any exogenous hormones. In my opinion, this is not heroic. Pacifying the audience with charades in order to get your message across rather than just delivering it to them straight up is not virtuous.
Joe Rogan made a pretty interesting statement on his show. Him and somebody else were talking about you, and I think the other guy was saying that you eat liver and that you do some of these ancestral tenets, and Joe Rogan said something to the effect of, I don't think he's doing any of that. He's got an ass full of steroids, that guy. Joe Rogan's also usually pretty high on his show. Like, what do you think of that comment?
First of all, I just want to say I think he's incredible. I think that I couldn't be more grateful that he's talking about me. Joe Rogan said, this guy. I mean, you know that in and of itself. I go to run the Liver Queen again. This guy that I hold in the absolute highest regard, irrespective of the light he's painting me in. Look at how happy I am. You know, look at how many people that have never heard of me have now heard of me.
Liverking? Who? Right?
This is, you know, one of the greatest feelings. I also just do want to say, I think that him saying that is dangerous. You know, I want to set the record straight. I would love the opportunity to talk to him face to face, to really get deep into the 9 ancestral tenets. What I'll share back with you, and I'm just going to face it head on. I don't touch this stuff. I've never done this stuff. I'm not going to do this stuff.
What stuff?
The ass full of steroids that he talks about.
You've never taken steroids?
Never taken steroids. I've never done PEDs other than prioritize, execute, and dominate in life.
Yeah, the Liver King thing drives me nuts because that guy's on steroids. Well, just shut the fuck up.
Well, so
I know he's eating really healthy. It's clear he's eating all these animal foods, and you know he's eating organ meat, which is very rich in nutrients. Well, that's true, but he's dodging the main bullet.
Well, it's too late for him now because he said no.
Yeah.
So if he is even on TRT, he should come out and just say it.
Well, look at him.
Because I mean,
do you know how rare it is to have a physique like that and not be on steroids?
He doesn't worry about the fallout from two very reputable sources calling him an outright liar. Rather, he's thankful for more eyes on him. Now, he'll say this is because he's promoting his message, but for the charlatans, it's all about money and fame.
Brian Johnson is a 44-year-old serial entrepreneur and the man behind the brand Liver King. He strives to change the lives of millions through the promotion of his 9 ancestral tenets. Regardless if it's slamming 50 fertilized raw eggs on his social media to go viral, or pulling a sled with kettlebells in hand in front of various famous locations in the world while he's traveling around the planet, or bringing blood and testicles onto a podcast that he's a guest on, having the host eat it with him on camera, Liver King has mastered the intertwinement of virality and the message he's trying to actually push, and he has adapted to being comfortable on camera wildly quickly. It is extremely impressive to see this guy not break character, get in front of the camera, and put himself in wildly awkward situations and not flinch, not seem nervous, not seem awkward, and scream at the top of his lungs about Liver King type stuff. Over time, he has also become more and more outspoken about the brands he endorses as well. He is the owner of several businesses that sell dietary supplements aimed at those who want to get in shape, live with as much vitality and vigor as him, and his companies are essentially all centered around this ancestral living and the 9 core ancestral tenets.
Is I take the raw glandulars, we freeze dry them, we put them in capsules, and we make it so easy they can't say no. We lower the barrier of entry, which is a big thing that you do, right?
Absolutely.
We've lowered it so low that it's accessible to everybody. And once you try it, almost everybody sees the value in it. And so the repeat customers are over 80%. And so this is where we started, and I just started with liver, and then the anecdotes just poured in. And so then we expanded to all the organs: heart, pancreas, spleen, kidney, bone marrow, brain, thymus, you name it. And so there was such a demand. This is a true demand creation model, and people said, more. And so we've just taken off, not just with ancestral supplements, but now there's Heart and Soil, there's Medicine Man Plant Co., there's The Fittest, there's Strong Jaw, there's quite a bit of these supplement companies that we've launched into different categories, but it's all based on ancestral living.
On a typical day, you will see him doing some sort of workout, posting some inspirational messages to encourage taking action, showing his meals on camera, endorsing an array of freeze-dried organ supplements, protein shakes, and meal replacement bars. While there's nothing inherently wrong with that whatsoever, endorsing dietary supplements, it's the way he uses the viral Liver King brand to promote it that is perceived by many to be unethical.
If you want to be a top king, if you want unlimited access to cars, money, and if you want to find your queen, then you have to fuel your efforts
with ancestral supplements, liver, beef organs, and bone marrow with breakfast, lunch, and dinner because liver is king. And you already know with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, always going to have a whole feast protein shake.
In several interviews, Brian Johnson has stated that his overarching goal is to show everyone how much they can improve their lives by following in his footsteps, and that these supplements he sells are just a happenstance business that supports his message, essentially.
So basically, you see all of these problems in the world, and you want to try to solve them using the tenets that you have. And one way you can get people to obey the tenets is by your different businesses, such as the supplements, such as spreading the message through Liver King, which also is, I'm sure, a great marketer towards all of these other businesses that you also have.
It's the rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Right. And that's basically the whole summary of the entire Liver King brand and motivation and goal.
I think so.
When he's asked how much his businesses have grown as a result of the Liver King brand growing exponentially, his reply is hardly at all.
I'm curious how all your businesses were doing before Liver King, and then once Liver King, as far as like the social media presence, and then with Liver King growing, how that has affected all of your businesses.
You know what's wild? Hardly at all. Hardly at all. But in terms of how my other businesses grow, my other businesses grow 50% a year over year. So what kind of impact have I had on these businesses is really marginal.
While many may believe that, those who understand the impact extremely viral social media content can have on site traffic, conversion potential, etc., know how absolutely absurd of a statement this is. Like with hyped up supply chain costs, private jet trips around the world, private chefs, expanding staffing needs, a full-blown social media team that follows him around, simultaneous disproportionately quick expansion of all of his existing brands that require more capital to continue to fuel their expansion, and the emergence of new brands popping up all the time under his wing that have startup costs as well associated with them, you know, the corporate accounting fees associated with it, this, that. It is clear that the revenue to support all of this has significantly increased since he started his social media push. How fast it has all happened is pretty fucking wild when you think about it. And there is no doubt in my mind that the valuation of his business portfolio cumulatively has disproportionately skyrocketed since he started posting in August 2021. While the 9 ancestral tenets are general and can be applicable to anyone, Liver King clearly targets men a bit more in his content.
Because if you have your cell phone next to your dick and balls, if you're not shielding right, do you think you're optimizing your testosterone?
I know I said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again.
What?
The ancestral man has a much more favorable hormone profile than the modern day manicured man.
Liver King claims he has never used steroids or any performance-enhancing drugs to achieve his physique, and this is ultimately what gets him the most scrutiny, but is also one of the reasons he's so viral. If he didn't throw it in people's faces as much as he does, he probably wouldn't get the heat that he does, but he often pokes fun at those who speculated about it and can be generally condescending.
Liver King here. A bunch of primals keep asking if Liver King is natty or not. I decided to really face this head on and show you my stack. I stack liver and bone marrow every day. I stack the sun and the earth every day. I stack blood-burning workouts twice a day, every day. And if you stack the 9 ancestral tenets, you too can express your most dominant form. And by the way, this was my cameraman idea, so tip of the hat to him. I don't even know where to get this stuff. But I will tell you this is filled with maple syrup. There's nothing better than that. Liver King out. It is time to put the rumors to rest. I just got my blood work done, and the doc is on his way to give me the results. Okay, Liver King, I got your blood results. Show him, don't tell him, doc. Okay, we did find something unusual about your blood.
I'm scared.
Aha! I knew it!
Okay.
Is Liver King natty? That's what he said.
Yeah.
I think he was like TikTok age. They say natty.
Yeah, well, first thing I'm now you're giving me a sidetrack, but I'll say this. Do you think if I was on steroids, I would have these fucking appendages down here, these legs?
Have legs?
Do you see how fucking little my fucking legs are? You know?
I don't think so.
Pretty big? Okay, well, let me fucking go on here. Here's the thing. When I was in college, I weighed 175 pounds, and I was single-digit body fat. I started working out about 8 or 9 years old. I had already been working out for, 10 or 12 years. So now I'm 45, and I've gained less than 1 pound a year over 25 years. Less than 1 pound a year. So this is what I say to people that make this accusation. If you don't believe this is possible, then I suggest that you take that self-limiting belief, You put that shit in a fucking box and you bury that next to all your embarrassing shit and don't open your fucking mouth about it. Let that live with you.
The doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, like this guy does not really have an off switch when it comes to leaning into this. It irritates a lot of people because he does not produce any evidence to the contrary, and he also doesn't get blood work apparently to track his health because he's so confident in his ancestral lifestyle that he believes it to be essentially unnecessary.
Are there actual hard medical downfalls or shortcomings to this diet? Higher cholesterol, are there things that you have to actively do to combat those?
Yeah, this is all rubbish. Right, like the whole
idea of
thing.
tracking cholesterol.
All of this stuff is fucking hilarious. You could make that face if you want.
Well, no.
Let me tell you what cholesterol is.
But that's because that kind of
cholesterol. Sure, yeah, of course it does. But you stand in line, right? You buy that vegetables are healthy. You buy that you should be wearing a shirt. Right, you buy that you should refer to yourself in the first person. I was going to ask you this. You buy that cholesterol has something to do with heart. Let me finish this. Cholesterol is a proxy to something we don't fucking understand. If you want to know about heart disease, you need to know about your hsCRP, your inflammation. What does your insulin look like? What are your triglycerides? What the fuck is your blood pressure? More people die of heart attacks with normal goddamn fucking cholesterol. Right, so this cracks me up when people are like, "Let me look at your cholesterol." Right, it's how the fuck do you feel? Right, if you got a fucking kicking ass libido and you're kicking ass in fucking life, you give a fuck what your cholesterol is? I don't do any blood testing. I don't know what my cholesterol is.
I might know what his cholesterol is.
Oh no, here comes the leaks.
At the start of the video, I mentioned how there was some information that came across my desk that was shocking, to say the least. This set of redacted emails shows what appears to be Liver King corresponding with a bodybuilding coach. So I was shocked, but also kind of not shocked at the same time. Like I felt like it was just a matter of time before something like this came out in some capacity, but obviously, it was still surprising to see the name on the piece of paper and just the detail that he went into in these emails. So let's get into it. And as far as I know, the redactions included like personal information that was irrelevant to PEDs and blood test results. It was just like payment information, phone numbers, personal information, etc. And we'll get into the blood work after. I just want to go through all the emails fully before we open the blood test results because it gives a lot of context that then makes sense of the blood work thereafter. So this is the first email, June 29th, 2021, which is notable that this is actually almost 2 months before he started posting as Liver King on social media. And yet he seemingly filled out this contact form identifying himself as Brian Johnson Liver King in brackets with an official email, liverking@ancestralsupplements.com. Like this is very much his brand domain that he is emailing through and his official email address, presumably from his company email address. So no attempt at trying to claim natural or anything, like very, very transparent in this email about what he needs to get out of this, what his goals are over the next year, and also identifying himself literally as like he was on a contact form, presumably of some website, to contact this guy and wrote Brian Johnson and in brackets, like literally identified himself as Liver King. So super interesting stuff and really insightful as to what went into the strategy behind this whole brand from inception, because this is pre-social media push, keep in mind. So stoked, thank you. What's a good date and time for you to have our consultation? I live in the Republic of Texas, Houston. So I am CST, I believe that's 12 hours behind you. This is an absolute priority for me. So I will cancel almost anything planned to make this happen with you. My preferred times are 7 a.m., 8 a.m., or 9 a.m. on Wednesday CST, but could easily do 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. almost any evening. And your time, I believe that's 7 p.m., 8 p.m., or 9 p.m. on Thursday, or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. almost any morning of the week. Please check my math on that. Since that's outside of your regular hours, I'm happy to compensate for the trouble. So let's dig right in. As it relates to my goals, I'm the face of several brands, including Ancestral Supplements, which is the handle he used here from his official company email. And I've just hired a team to build the Liver King brand with the goal of 1 million followers by March 2022. That's like wildly specific, and I believe he actually did it before that date, which is crazy because he had 0 followers in June of 2021. So within less than a year, he knew he was going to get 1 million followers all around this brand, with the intention of blowing it up from day one. I'm pouring ridiculous resources into making this happen, including hosting a video guy that will be living at my guest house and a film crew that will be filming 7 days a month. Stated, I have to stay in great fucking shape year round. Maybe take 1 to 2 months off per year. And when he says off per year, like he's very much implying hormone use. Here's a clip of where I'm at currently. So this is a link to an Instagram post. Ancestral Supplements, May 8th, 2021. The keys to living an optimal life. And Brian the Liver King Johnson. Okay, so he was identifying himself as the Liver King for a while, but this is before his actual Liver King social media was created. And he looks pretty yoked here. Like, he looks sick still. Presumably, that is mainly what this, coaching was really about, was to get as saucy as fucking hell, essentially, within reason of not killing yourself and pushing your brand in as viral of a way as possible. I've been working out for 35 years. I know how to train, eat, rest, and recover. I even have a hard shell hyperbaric chamber at my house. But as I've reached my mid-40s, it's getting harder and the back fat fucking kills me. To support these exhaustive efforts, I've recently started taking Omnitrope. So if you guys don't know Omnitrope, this is pharmacy-grade human growth hormone. The brand, it is created by the pharmaceutical company Sandoz, I believe it is. The 5.8 milligram vials from Empower Pharmacy, $11,000 per month for my new dose, which is 4 vials per week, 16 vials per month. So these 5.8 milligram vials, he's using 4 vials per week, 16 vials per month. What is that in international units? Most of you guys are probably more familiar with HGH dosages in international units. In general, for somatropin, recombinant, HGH, 1 milligram equals 3 international units. So for each 5.8 milligram vial of Omnitrope, that has the equivalent of approximately 17.4 IU somatropin. So he mentioned 4 vials per week, 16 vials a month. I believe he mentioned in his email here, 16 vials a month. So that is going to be roughly 69.6 international units of recombinant human growth hormone per week, which is roughly 10 international units per day, which is like a fucking really, really high, super expensive dosage that, to be honest, I know bodybuilders who compete at the Open Mr. Olympia who use less pharma-grade GH than that. Okay. Like that's how high of a dose that actually is. So he says, I don't know if this shit is grossly underdosed or what, but I've been taking 2 vials per week and my IGF is only at 139. See recent labs below. My doctor told me that I could double it in an effort to get to the upper 200s, low 300s. She thinks I could be a hyper non-responder. I'm wondering if taking a fuckload of other peptides could be confounding the results and possibly interfering with the efficacy. For instance, here's what I'm currently taking. So here's this stack, IGF-1 LR3, presumably. Been taking this for a year. CJC with IMAP, been taking this for a year. So here, I'm assuming he's talking about CJC 1295 drug affinity complex. Like there is a difference between, there's mod GRF 1-29, which is like a shorter acting. We'll get into it later as far as like what GHRPs are, GHRHs, etc. But this is like a peptide combination, CJC 1295 with DAC. I'm assuming he's talking about with ipamorelin, I'm assuming, not IMAP. I'm sure he's just hastily writing this, hence why there's like missing shit. But CJC with IPAM is a very, very common combination. Been taking this for a year. Ibutamoren, also known as MK677, orally active GH secretagogue and ghrelin receptor agonist. Been taking this for 2 months. Omnitrope, human growth hormone, pharma grade, been taking this for 6 weeks. Testosterone cypionate, 0.6 cc per week, cruise dose. So that, presumably would be 120 milligrams per week if you do 0.6 times 1 with a 200 milligram per milliliter concentration. 120 milligrams per week of test sip is not that high. Deca, nandrolone decanoate, 0.6 cc per week. Been taking this for 3 weeks, so 3 weeks of 120 milligrams per week. Pharma grade, of course. Winstrol, 50 milligrams a day. Just started this, been taking this for 3 weeks, and this is all presumably pharma grade through the pharmacy mentioned and having a legitimate prescription. I know it to be the case that all of these are prescribable, even Winstrol, which sounds fucking baffling. And does it actually have like a clinical application that makes sense? Very rarely, but presumably he has a script for it. I'm doubting he's using UGL Winstrol just randomly as his choice of compound. There are fewer compounds to choose from, like you're not gonna get Trenbolone through a fucking pharmacy, but Winstrol, one of the available orals that presumably he arrived on as the one to add in. So anyways, he is on all this stuff. My blood sugar every morning, it's around 74, and insulin are great because I'm metabolically fit as fuck. Or so I think, ... Some doctors think my insulin is too low, but I think it's because I'm very insulin sensitive because I work out like a fucking maniac. I train twice a day, 6 days a week, and walk 10 to 12 miles on my rest day. Can you help me dial in the PED and growth hormone protocol to maximize results? You will see that my healthy labs back on May 12th look pretty good, except IGF-1 and GH are always non-existent. My recent labs show some serious concerns, probably the Winstrol, but we're discontinuing that in 2 weeks anyways. SHBG, lipids, estradiol are all fucked, but aside from my joints, I feel pretty good. I'm 5'7", lean, 43 years old. Would like your coaching for the next 12 months and happy to pay in advance. Let's go. And a bunch of redactions of a bunch of personal information. And then his signature, Brian Johnson, Liver King, owner, Ancestral Supplements. We believe in the ways of our ancestors. We are descendants of the sole surviving species, blah, blah, blah. So look like pretty fucking legit. Seems like the man himself. So let's get into the next email and we'll wrap this up and then get into the blood work. All right, next email, July 18th, 2021. My new IGF-1 and GH results are in. Thank God I'm finally in the normal range. Having said that, I want to get my IGF-1 to 300. As a reminder, I've been taking 4 vials of Omnitrope, 5.8 milligrams per week. So 69.4 international units per week, whatever that was. So roughly 10 IU per day of pharma-grade GH. Should I pay an extra $5,000 per month? That's $15,000 per month in total, or try one of your sources to get better shit. And we can see here, IGF-1 using high sensitivity testing, 204 nanograms per milliliter. Longitudinal data points here that show a trend upwards from May to mid-July. Keeping in mind the dosage he's using, his IGF-1 should be way higher. Like, this is very, very odd to say the least, and is presumably, like, this is why he's wondering, should he be trying different shit? Why is it so low? What's going on? Does he have a unique issue? What's going on? Which we'll get into liver health later, downstream IGF-1 conversion, inflammatory states, his blood work, etc. And there's more data points too for the IGF-1, but this is where he's at from, he's been trying to get it up for a while with peptides to increase his endogenous levels. He used literal IGF-1 LR3 to try and stimulate receptor activity through that vector by bypassing the entire GH-IGF-1 axis itself, using exogenous GH and trying to just shove it at the fucking liver to get as much conversion as possible, using a higher dose than most bodybuilders I know can even afford, to be honest. Yeah, let's get into the next email. July 19th, 2021, questionnaire. What up, coach? I hope your MRI went well. I bet it did. See my answers below in red. Front and back pictures of what you look like right now. 4 quarter turns and the 7 mandatory bodybuilding poses if possible. This way we have a starting point and can decide where to improve and how you hold your body fat. Also send me pictures of the best shape and condition you've had in the past. 4 quarter turns and the 7 mandatory bodybuilding poses if you have them. That way we have a clear goal and see where we can improve on your previous shape. Liver King's response. I have no idea what these poses are. I'm sure that I could Google them, but it would take too much effort right now and I want to get this done within 30 minutes. I don't store body fat anywhere except the love handles / back fat. I need serious help with this. What is your daily schedule? What time do you wake up? How many meals until you work out? And how many after? Let me know which hours of the day you're occupied and what times you can eat and train. How do you structure your weekend and what kind of thing do you like to do socially? Movies, eating out, bowling, walking in the park, etc. So this is pretty interesting. Wake up at 6 a.m., work out at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. I always train fasted. If I'm not going to my ranch, I don't leave my compound. I live on 15 acres on the lake and have everyone come to me. My ranch is 500 acres of paradise. I don't go out to eat. I don't go bowling. I don't go to the movies. This is my routine. 6 a.m., wake up, walk to the lake barefoot, sun gaze, and have morning coffee. Review the books for my companies. 7 a.m. workout number 1. I follow Westside Conjugate and customize the program as needed. I take the first dose of Omnitrope right before this workout. 9 a.m. Eat meal 1. 45-gram protein shake with cold mineral water. 60 grams dextrose. 100 grams whole Greek yogurt. 30 grams maple syrup. 4 farm fresh eggs. 5 grams creatine. 10 grams collagen. 30 grams almond butter. 20 grams ghee. 5 grams red bean salt. 2 ounces of red meat. So it's kind of interesting because I wonder, some of the stuff I've never seen him have, like 60 grams of dextrose powder, never seen that before. Him supplementing with creatine is really interesting, given how much red meat he eats. 10 grams of collagen powder, presumably. Interesting stuff. 9:15 to 1 p.m., meetings and phone calls with the occasional nap from 12 to 1. 1:30 p.m., workout number 2. This is Olympic lifting, skills and Metcon. I take the second dose of Omnitrope right before this workout. 2:30 p.m., eat meal 2, 45-gram protein shake with cold mineral water, 60 grams of dextrose again, 100 grams whole Greek yogurt, 60 grams maple syrup, 4 farm fresh eggs, 5 grams creatine, 10 grams collagen, 30 grams almond butter, 20 grams ghee, 5 grams red bean salt, 2 to 4 ounces of raw liver, 30 grams of raw bone marrow. 3 to 4:30, meetings and phone calls. 4:30, eat meal number 3, 12 ounces of full-fat red meat. For example, ribeye, ground wagyu, or short ribs, and 100 to 200 grams sweet potatoes. 5:30 to 6:30, phone calls, emails, meetings. 6:30 to 7, walking with wife. 7 to 7:30, emails. 7:30 to 8:30, spend time with the boys. Usually go to the theater room to watch a Marvel movie or play games. 8:30 p.m., I take the third dose of Omnitrope. Wait 30, and by the way, like each dose he's taking essentially is 3.33 international units, presumably, per shot. Wait 30 minutes after the Omnitrope, have a 30-gram protein shake and 2 ounces of red meat and get ready for bed. 9 p.m., bedtime. How many hours of sleep do you get every day? My sleep is not great. I go to sleep no problem, but wake up a lot from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This is why I stay in bed 9 to 10 hours a night so that I can usually get around 8 hours of legit sleep. So this is really interesting to me because the guy, preaches sleep hygiene, dialed in sleep, and you would think is like the, representation of pinnacle of lifestyle, behavioral, etc. modifications to have this perfectly dialed in, but yet he is waking up a lot, 2 to 6 a.m., having issues sleeping. He stays in bed 10 hours a night to get 8 hours of legit sleep. And we'll get into his blood work later, why I think that to be partially the case. Who knows if it's from lying on fucking wooden floor or whatever. But anyways, current body weight and body fat percentage, if you can do a test like the in-body machine. Otherwise, we can always go by pictures. 200 pounds, I'd guess my body fat is around 10%. Do you feel you had stubborn fat areas that didn't go away? If so, what areas? Yes, all caps. Back fat, love handles, nowhere else. Do you start to hold water during the day after a few meals with carbs and or about 1 hour after training, look leaner in the morning, leaner but puffy face, or look pretty flat in the morning and look better after a few meals? I pretty much look the same. Which diet or foods you're currently eating, which foods you don't like, and do you have any food allergies? What food do you feel you respond good to bodybuilding-wise, and which do you find hard to digest that are usually used by bodybuilders? I fucking love my foods. I pretty much eat keto carnivore unless I've just worked out. If I've earned the carbs, I will eat 100 or so right after a workout. My blood sugar is usually 70 to 84 every morning. If I need to lean out, I stop eating post-workout carbs for 4 to 6 weeks, and I get shredded. I respond well to raw eggs, raw liver, raw meat, and dairy. I don't eat any vegetable oils. So you can at least give him kudos that he's like reasonably following the shit that he preaches. He has some interesting additions that he does not really discuss, but other than that, like it's pretty, he definitely believes in what he's preaching with exception of the hormone part, which is a pretty fucking massive piece. But anyways, did you ever do a food allergy test? If so, what are you allergic to and which foods do you avoid? Not applicable. Do you feel you respond better to carbs or fats? What kind of diet did you follow in the past, and have you done any carb cycling or keto? My energy is better with fat, and my cognition is better with fat. I add carbs post-workout for the muscle fullness. I do carb cycling and keto as needed, filming, vacation, etc. What kind of foods do you like to eat that isn't bodybuilding related? Pizza, Thai, sushi, ice cream, etc. None. Even when I eat sushi, I have a sushi chef come over to make it to my specification. If I ever have ice cream, my wife makes a colostrum ice cream made out of first milk colostrum, egg yolks, vanilla extract, and a little maple syrup. You should come over and fuck that shit up with me. How is your mood as you go deeper into the diet? Can you function and continue with your jobs and deal with friends, family, or it becomes increasingly difficult to manage obligations outside of your bodybuilding goals? I can do anything. I am unequivocally strong in mind, heart, and spirit. How much water are you drinking per day, and what other beverages do you consume? I only drink coffee and natural Mountain Valley spring water in glass containers. Which supplements are you currently using? Brands, dosages, etc. What have you tried in the past that worked and didn't work? Are you using any of these supplements to cover a deficiency, like vitamin D3, for example? Ancestral supplements, thyroid, ancestral supplements, heart, ancestral supplements, beef organs, ancestral supplements, bone marrow, and tallow. N-acetylcysteine, 2 grams per day. Tudka, 1 gram. Creatine, 10 grams per day. Protein powder. So these are going to be for liver preventative health from a liver perspective, trying to protect his liver, avoid significant stress from, the Winstrol is using, for example, etc. Or glutathione synthesis through the neck, blah, blah, blah. Are you currently taking any medications? Which ones and for what purposes? SIP, as in testosterone cypionate, DECA, nandrolone decanoate, omnitrope, growth hormone, MK677, and then all the other shit that he mentioned in the last email. Are you currently smoking, drinking, or taking any rec drugs? No, I have drinks maybe 1 to 2 days out of the month. Your training style now, do you follow any program at the moment? How long do you train? How many exercises and sets per body part? If you have any videos of yourself training, that would help tremendously. That way I can see your form, see how you push yourself, etc. If the files are too big, you can upload them to Instagram or YouTube and set them to unlisted and send me the links. I follow Westside Conjugate CrossFit, 90 minutes in the morning, 60 minutes in the afternoon. I push myself to the absolute limit 100%. I usually do 4 to 5 exercises per body part with 4 to 6 sets per exercise. Do you have more energy at the beginning of the workout or strong all the way through? Fuck no. I'm dead at the end. Fucking dead. Sometimes I even have to nap from 12 to 1 p.m. Are you currently doing any cardio? If so, what kind and how long per day? Yes, always doing cardio. CrossFit, Metcons, 4 to 5 days per week. Do you have any injuries at the moment? Old injuries that have healed, broken bones, tendon issues, torn muscles, etc. Doing okay here. Do you have any experience ordering supplements online from websites like Amazon.com, iHerb, bodybuilding.com? Who doesn't? Let me know what's next. Oh yeah, I take Wednesday and Sunday off. On those days, I do hard shell HBOT in my house. 10 minutes cold plunge at house, massage at house, walk 6 to 9 miles and do Tabata push-ups or else I don't feel right in the head. Let's go, exclamation marks. Lastly, let me know what you think about my Omnitrope questions I sent yesterday too. P.S. I'll send pictures and video files as soon as my creative director shares them with me. And that is the end of that email. Now moving on to the August 16th email, GH and IGF-1. Check this out. I did Omnitrope 1 hour before the blood test on August 4th. I did Norditropin 1 hour before the blood test on August 11th. IGF-1 is slowly rising too. I'd love to get my IGF-1 to 300. A quick interjection for a note on the blood work analysis. I ended up doing it and it ended up being over an hour in length. I wanted it to be this succinct, concise, cursory overview of all of the blood test metrics, but he has a decent amount of blood work, and to do it the justice it deserves from an analysis context, it ended up being pretty long. So instead of derailing this video, I'm going to make that blood work analysis a totally separate video for you guys who want to dig into that and see how his health metrics were affected from the HRT he was using at first, and then the peptide introduction, the GH use, the cranking of the GH, and the subsequent, introduction of synthetic anabolic steroids and whatnot. That is all very clearly elucidated in the blood work, and you get my insight on it. In this video, we are going to get back to the meat and potatoes and a twist in the story that I was not expecting personally. The other day I was filtering through my emails to find the forwarded emails, the blood test results, do my interpretation of it, and I came across an unread email from May 2021. It was from the same address, so I'm on my Gmail. Emails get buried quick, so I'm filtering, go at ancestralsupplements.com, it filters any email, it's from ancestralsupplements.com, and there's another one that pops up like underneath, older, significantly older than this one, unread. I'm like, huh. Open it up. So for me, I used to provide consults on my website. I stopped taking clients a couple of years ago, but those requests would still pile up, I guess, until I had removed the consult thing from my site. I don't even remember if I had removed it by then or not, but it might have still been like a link on my site to request a consult, or maybe they found it through Googling, because I think the URL domain or whatever, the site, the actual page where you would submit a request probably still exists. It's just not actually on the website anymore. But anyways, apparently sitting in the depths of my email inbox was an unread message from the man himself requesting bodybuilding coaching as well. May 2nd, 2021, from Brian Johnson, consult contact form at moreplatesmoredates.com, reply to Liverking at ancestralsupplements.com, to admin at moreplatesmoredates.com, my company email that I was using, Brian Johnson, Liverking at ancestralsupplements.com. I need to get shredded, have more energy, and get my brain working better, but I overtrain approximately 12 to 14 workouts a week and can't stop. I played around with peptides and would like to explore real GH like Omnitrope and others. I sleep well, eat well. I even have a hard shell hyperbaric oxygen therapy, presumably, cold plunge, sauna, etc. at my house. I need next level, which is why I'm reaching out. Can you reassure me that all information discussed, wish confidential, presumably will be held confidential. Fucking love your work. Pretty flattering, to be honest. May 2nd. So this is before, like, the other emails we just went through. Even the first blood test result was May 12th, I believe. So this is before all of that. So this whole time, even when I'm making videos about the guy and, like, doing, the natty or not stuff, this is sitting there, unread in my Gmail. this whole fucking time, dude. Absolutely wild. Now, again, this isn't it. There was another email from somebody on his team this time, interestingly enough. So this is, has redactions on it to keep the personal information private. Because again, this is just some guy in his company. Don't necessarily want to just, put out there, hey, this fucking guy, sent this. So this guy presumably is a high up guy in the company. He has an ancestral supplements extension email. And the fact that he even knows this stuff, like obviously he must be pretty high up in there. Because I assume this isn't something that Liver King like puts out there to the masses regularly. But who knows? Like maybe he was more open about it back then he decided, at the last minute, you know what? I am just going to claim natural and nobody's going to find out. I don't fucking know. But anyways, more plates, more dates. HGH dosage video idea /intro is the subject line from blank at ancestralsupplements.com. Hey bro, I reached out to you on Instagram, realized I should probably hit you in a few places. I work with Brian Liver King Johnson, owner of Ancestral Supplements. So for context, by the way, I went and checked to see if there was a DM from this guy and put his alias, preface of his email and what he called himself into Instagram, see if I could find it, because it wasn't actually his name. It was just like, I don't even remember what it was, but it's been redacted. But anyways, I put it into Instagram, went to there was a DM from somebody who had the same handle and it was unsent. So to me, that was pretty indicative that was probably the same guy. And like when you see a DM and it shows like a request, you want to accept or reject it, and it's just blank, that you know that somebody sent a DM and then unsent it, so it looks blank, but the request is still showing. To me, that was probably the same guy. He probably unsent the message after he saw that I didn't respond, or perhaps they decided they wanted to go the claiming natty route after and wanted to just like get rid of the DMs. I don't really know. But anyways, I work with Brian Johnson, owner of Ancestral Supplements. We recently secured him an HGH prescription, and he's taking quadruple the dose with little benefit. It's omnitrope, somatropin. Brian has some questions and ideas about why he may not be responding to the HGH, and I think you could pull some good shit out of your conversation with him for content. I can hook y'all up over email. Liver King lives on his inbox, or however it works best for you. Skype video may be an interesting change of scenery for him. LOL. If you want to get paid, name your price, bro. I think you'll agree after talking to Brian that the connection itself is priceless. Look us up, ancestralsupplements.com. Give me a call, shoot me a text, or email me, and let's make this happen. Talk to you soon. So, yeah, very much trying to dissect and figure out why the quadruple dose of pharma-grade GH is not working. Understandably so, because I would be definitely interested in that as well. To me, this sort of corroborated that the leaked emails were legit, because, like, to me, again, when I first saw those emails, it's just like random emails being forwarded to me. Could they have been manipulated? Is like the handle even legit? Like again, when I see the at ancestralsupplements.com handle, when I see the signature that's like blatantly his, when I see the contact form, like what is being put in there, the language being used, like the corroborating blood work, like I was pretty certain that it was legitimate to begin with, especially given the dates, the outline of exactly what he was going to do, the meticulous strategy around the social media, blah, blah, blah. But then getting this in my email as well, with all the exact same corroborating information, like really backed up that in fact, it was legit after all. So fucking wild to say the least. While I certainly don't agree with everything Liver King recommends regarding health, fitness, lifestyle, there's a lot that I do agree with. I do truly believe that many people would benefit from incorporating some of his suggestions into their lives, some things more so than others. Like, for example, I mentioned briefly earlier, eating an ounce of liver per day. I would generally recommend for most people looking to optimize their micronutrient intake. Beef liver, I have like an ounce of beef liver every single day, regardless of how deep in a deficit I go. And if somebody truly didn't like the taste of liver, is taking a liver supplement a viable alternative? Absolutely, I think so. And I don't feel it's unethical at all to promote that in that context. But I would also tell you that sunning your balls is almost certainly not worth your time. Like there are certain things he says that I just don't agree with. In general, the message regarding lifestyle changes that the Liver King is spreading to the masses is arguably a positive one on the surface overall. However, that is shrouded in a cloud of deception. It seems as if the Liver King has decided on behalf of the millions who follow him and the millions that will follow him in the future that it is better to not just keep them in the dark about his drug use, but to also lie about it when questioned. If he was natural with a less impressive physique, he would likely not be as viral as he is on social media. If he openly talked about his hormone use, it would likely make people question just how impactful the 9 ancestral tenets really are relative to the drugs he's taking. And he would convert less viewers into believers and paying customers. If he candidly talked about the unhealthy stress he subjects his body to in order to look a certain way to push his message, it would likely reflect poorly on him as a leader in the health and wellness space, and far fewer people would take him seriously. If he was totally transparent about the financial upside the explosion of the Liver King brand has had on his businesses, it would likely detract from the noble intentions he portrays his actions to be underpinned by. And that, ultimately, is the crux of the Liver King.
Yes, he wouldn't be as famous if he didn't praise all those things. Yes, he goes into the money route and below the